Hello. I hope you're all well. I hope your day is good. I hope you're feeling blessed wherever you are. I hope your moment in time can just stop for a little bit and be with me. If you can't and you need to move on, go for it. I made a big step to create the next step, and I wanted to talk about what it takes when you're in the middle of the hallway. There's a statement in recovery that says, when you're in the middle of the hallway, do not open. Just wait there until the door opens. Many of us through this COVID time are in the middle of the hallway, right? So as we witness this time, this idea of how rich and how momentous this time is, right? It's a mountain. It's like a big mountain of consciousness, like opening. Everybody is just kind of spending time with themselves so much that people are opening. There's also the idea of death. So many people dying, but when people die and so much is of death around us, again, there's an opening of this vortex. Death is that witness of that entryway into a time frame that is timeless. And when we start sharing timelessness together, I feel like that's what the time is right now. We're witnessing a really deep timelessness. Many of us have not gone back to jobs because of illness or somebody ill or somebody dying. Many of us have lost our jobs and not known. Many people are facing housing crisis and housing issues from not paying rent. I was on with a friend, and it's been 5 months of not paying rent, and she's undocumented. And I felt that drop in, like, how can I drop in with her? How can I drop deeper in? Because fear is happening, right? Fear. Wonderful work with Sarah Larson and Greg Larson today on, they've got the 5-day challenge. And it's the spirit of money that we've been talking about. And it's really been powerful because there's this momentum of consciousness and understanding of how we as a society have used money in so many different ways. And the fear of money and the fear of what comes up when family and money have come up has deeply been an issue for generations of all of our generational traumas. And I think Sarah started out the day saying that the generational trauma of money could have come from, a couple generations, 3 or 4 generations back, from plagues of the same nature, of issues from the same nature, of people losing things from the same nature of this. So we're not alone. That's number one I want to speak about. We're not alone. We're not alone in facing this. We're not alone in the connection field. And that's my other beautiful community I've been involved with for the last few months. And that's the connection field through Good of the Whole. And between these communities, I'm nurtured in a way that is opening, right? That timelessness. So I thought I'd talk about that tonight a little bit, about the timelessness that each of us can make space for during this time. And I think for me, it brings about, lighting a candle. So let's light the candle for this session. Holy wisdom, holy word. Me and my candles. Light and spark. I finally got a little clicker, so I don't have to race to the blessings. So we send this candle out for people for all over the world. And we send this candle out for the timelessness that we each keep. And when we think about time, we're just here right now. We're in this moment. And as you bring this moment here, if you can just take a few deep breaths and just bring yourself really present here. My dog just jumped up. That's hard, because she wants to come in. And, I have my water here. I have an apple peel that needs to go back, or an end of an apple that needs to definitely, go in the compost. There's a lot of fruit flies today, like everywhere in my kitchen. So that's on my mind. My daughter's driving and it's night. And she's going to see her sister and she's leaving in a few days, and that's on my mind. And, I got to drop in with my son that just moved, and, he's unpacking, and the family has to stay isolated for 14 days. So they're all kind of feeling it, moving to a new place, moving to a new house, which they chose, and isolating for 14 days in Hawaii, right? This is another drop in. I have a daughter that's struggling a little bit with some of the emotions that came up last week for me, and the bumps that came through me. And, I caused a little bit of ruckus last week, and it was from my emotion and my rawness. It's a beautiful Native American presence of what emotion can bring. And what there was, I think it was the day after I was feeling, it took me 3 days. It was like dropping into the darkest moments, right? The darkest soul moments for myself. And when we go into these dark places, it's another timeless void. It's a timeless consciousness. It's a timeless witness to ourself deeper. And it's a layer of relinquishing. This is a big passage for me, a passage of 39 years mothering my kids. For 20 of these years, I've been mothering myself financially by myself. And so this witness of a passage to say, wow, what was that? I started off and I ended almost at the same place, like spiritually. And it was a very powerful vortex for me. And that void, that moment of void, when we're in that dark void, whether it be in a dream, we might wake up with a bad dream. We might wake up with something that drops us in on a deeper note. It's a note, it's a toning of our heart. This elder that was sharing, this beautiful medicine person that lives close, I'm excited to meet him in person. He said, we're like a baby, and we don't want to recognize that as adults. And, when a baby is really wailing and you can't settle the baby down, you don't know what's wrong, you don't know how to settle it. There's layers upon the baby you have to go through, right? Is the diaper wet? Does the baby poop? Or, is there a poop in the diaper? Is there a baby need to poop? Or, okay, is the baby hungry? Is the baby, and sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, because we don't know, And I wanted to talk, that's another timeless moment. And what he shared was this moment of contentment when the baby calms down and the baby just settles in to the contentment of the container that it's in. And then there's no residual. This was the part that really got me. There's no residual for anyone. Nobody holds judgments. Nobody holds residual. Nobody holds the issues. They just move on. But we as adults hold all of this stuff that is so unwarranted of not loving. We want to hold stuff and hold people accountable for something that some of us, I didn't even know how I got there. in many layers. It was just where I went. So I'm going to put the candle down so the wax doesn't drip here, and see what I can come up with our Holy Wisdom, Holy Word, because I pulled out a couple books, as I do on this show. And for you, some of you that have known me, I'm a theologian. My name is Lynn Chittick, and you might know me for the first time, and you might know me for a while. But some of the books that I pulled out, I'll tell you what fell out of my box. I've been cleaning my papers, which I'm totally excited. I took out 6 boxes of all my schoolwork, and there's really powerful. I'm going to let my dog out just a second. Lily, come on. Lily, come on. I'm going to have to get her in a minute. Just a sec, folks. Okay. Facebook Lives and puppy dogs, right? Holy Wisdom, Holy Word. When the dog speaks, you act. I've got this beautiful oils today that I picked out, and I just got in the mail. One was Sacred Mountain, and I know it's got sandalwood, like ancient sandalwood in it. And I think I'm just going to put that on tonight by itself. And the oils you just kind of rub in your palms and then breathe it in. I just totally love this. But some of the books that I brought out, one has been brewing for many days, and this is Emerson. So we'll definitely try to read some of Emerson tonight. I'm always loving this one because of what it says. Let your life speak. Listening to the voice of vocation. And that's where I'm at, you know. And it's the vocation after graduating, and you know, I'm going through a lot of different moments of time. You know, the passageway of my kids, the passageway of a child moving far away with my grandkids. And these passages are beautiful, and they're making me into this you know, a little bit of craziness last week. And yet I'm feeling really good right now because I just got it out. And today I did some major cleansing, really great. And I jumped on my trampoline that I got for my birthday, which is so fun. But the other one I got out was Anam Cara by John Donahue. And it's really, really deep. And this is kind of about the mystery about Scotland and our ancestry. And the other one that a lot of my friends have done, and I did back in my 20s, was the Course in Miracles. And my good friend Christy just did the Mary Magdalene Day. And, you know, Mary Magdalene is just this, you know, wisdom keeper of ancient feminine, right? She was the dark one. She was the one to not, you know, watch out for her, right? And I don't know if any of you have felt that, but a lot of people, you know, feel that. I don't care who you are. There's times in your life when you're saying, other people are saying, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I think that's kind of where I'm at too, like this feeling of COVID and timelessness and the vortex of so much death around us. You know, I am so, you know, so empathetic. You know, I'm an empath. And when you're an empath and you feel everything, it's a big one. And I had a wonderful chat with my beautiful friend, Kasrat Rai. And I'm hoping we'll get on at some point and talk. But he's an amazing soul. He's the 3rd top peace promoter in the world. And he's on the Torch family team. And, you know, the Torch family is this mountain of just community in and out. This is one of these things that Dr. Sarah does. So I'm adopting it from her this week because I'm done with her a lot. And when you adopt this feeling of like you're in this, you're in this together, you're in this through a change, you're in this through the moments of time. The Torch family has been amazing. I feel like we're in so many layers of change. So let's read a little bit. I think I'm getting that moment. This is an interesting page I opened up. It's called The Treachery of Specialness. Comparison must be an ego-driven, for love makes none. Specialness always makes comparisons. It is established by a lack seen in another, and maintained by searching for and keeping clear in sight all lacks it can perceive. This came up today about the lack, and money brings that lack. How much lack? It really came up for me. Like, where is my lack of faith in lieu of money? Where is my lack of connection through COVID? Where is my lack of feeling that in uncomfortability of, my physical form was sick for a long time. I've still got a cough, and they're still diagnosing there's a little bit of nodules in my lungs. Nothing that they want to go further with, but there's also some closed alveoli. And all that tells me is, okay, I've got another layer, right? But the lack of, like, what did I do to myself? Well, I raised kids on my own, which was really stressful. So a lot of cortisone, a lot of fight and flight, like hurry up, get things done because I got to get food on the table. A lot of body holding of weight from my menopause and, going into menopause and really knowing that spiritually you go through a change through menopause. And I had a baby at menopause. Like I became a mom at 42, and then I think it was, I don't know what age I was exactly, but there's that weight. And then being sedentary from studying, right, at this age. So there's this feeling of lack for me. And I'm like, I'm giving this up today. I'm done. I'm done with it. My body is my body. It's here. I love my body in all the forms that it is. And I'm going to give it up, like spiritually. I'm going to give it up emotionally. I'm going to give it up. That deep, like, resentment at myself that I did something wrong. I did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong. We have never done anything wrong. Now, if we are out of integrity, then clean it up. But, when we're out of integrity with our own personal health, it is a cleanup. So I'm cleaning it up. I did a big cleanse today. Jumped on my trampoline. That's what I did for my birthday. I wanted some clothes, and I said, no, I'm going to order a trampoline. So my lack is feeling like my value is a little bit more content. That value, that spiritual value, that emotional value, that theological value, we're coming up into so many different layers. So let's read this again. Comparison must be an ego device, for love makes none. Specialness always makes comparisons. It is established by a lack seen in another and maintained by searching for and keeping clear in sight all lacks it can perceive. This does it seek, and this it looks upon, and always whom it thus diminishes would be your Savior, had you not chosen to make of him a tiny measure of your specialness instead. Against the littleness you see in him, you stand as tall and stately, clean and honest, pure and unsullied. Wow, that's a word. Unsullied. Comparison, with what you see. I don't know that word. It's a good word to look up. I just had my dictionary out, and now it's like, oh, I've got a word to look up. I love to look up words when I don't know them. It's a good thing to do. By comparison with what you see, nor do you understand it is yourself, that you diminish thus. Pursuit of specialness is always at the cost of peace. Who can attack his Savior and cut him down by recognizing his strong support? Who can detract from his omnipotence, yet share his power? And who can see him in the gauge of littleness and be released from limits? You have a function in salvation. Its pursuit will bring you joy, but the pursuit of specialness must bring you pain. Here is a goal that would defeat salvation and thus run counter to the will of God. To value specialness is to esteem an alien will, to which illusions of yourself are dearer than the truth. Specialness is the idea of sin made real. Sin is impossible even to imagine without this base, for sin arose from it out of nothingness, an evil flower with no roots at all. Here is the self-made Savior, the Creator, who creates unlike the Father, and which made his Son like to itself and not like unto himself. His special sons are many, never one, each one in exile from himself and him of whom they are a part, nor do they love the oneness which created them as one with him. They chose their specialness instead of heaven and instead of peace, and wrapped it carefully in sin to keep it safe from truth. Whew. This is A Course in Miracles. Now, it's not a book many people study this. Many people study this. I haven't seen this book in many years, and I have seen this book in many years. Somebody gave it to me last year, but I hadn't had a copy. It's powerful to feel what is the Course in Miracles about sin and redemption and specialness. You know, I think when we think of ourselves as special, we have to love ourselves. I get that part. We have to give each other a hug right now. Like, really step in and just love yourself. Just totally adore yourself, because it's okay that. But specialness brings that form that they were just talking about, this deceit within the separation of God itself, I think, is what that reading was saying. That when we separate in this place of time, we're not able to channel just the pure light and love that we have been given. So we adapt. You know, the adaptation is not coming from the heart. It's an adaptation. You know, this book says the ego. Now, I have differences of ego, because ego is this word that, for me, it's a new age word. And I think we need a strong ego even to make it in the world. But newer paradigms of thought call it ego is a place where you're only about yourself and not others. And you're, you know, it's a convoluted word. I struggle with this word in a way that when people say, oh, that's your ego, I don't think people really know that. I don't think anyone can know that about you. I think you can know that about you when you know that you're acting from a place that's not wholesome and loving and kind and caring. But I don't think anybody should ever call you or say that it's from your ego. It's just such an ugly thing to say. And I don't, somebody said that years ago at the ashram to me, that ego is really important. Don't ever say it loosely. And I'll never forget it, because I think it's an important word. I think it's a word where we can embrace our strength. You know, we are an ego, the I am, but we're the whole I am. We're blessed by God. Nothing is lack if we open our heart. Nothing is lacking you. Nothing is lacking me. Nothing is Now, are there things that I act in lack? Yes. Are there things I act out in lack? Yes. Are there things that my human soul life, completely that small little Lynn that's hurt and wounded? 100%. But there's this beautiful mountain of love that's been given to me and you and all of us with just creation itself. We are created in the most beautiful flowers of the world. I mean, it's just phenomenal, the gift of the multifaceted life, the multi-generational life, the multicultural life, the dimensional. When we're in dimensions of soul, when we're in dimensions, I'm writing a book called Architecture of Your Soul, and I've done a lot of writings just by speaking into my microphone, and I'll do it when I'm driving, and I'll just get trains of thoughts. And that's what I love about God with me. I feel like I just step out of the way and that mountain of love can come in if I let myself be in that timelessness. And I guess when I started this feed of Holy Wisdom, Holy Word tonight, that's what I was talking about, that timelessness that we enter into with each other that is so precious, that is so kind, that is so caring. So let your life speak. Parker Palmer, he just touches me. Learning our limits, I opened up to. But the truth does not go deep enough. Not if I am to discover the meaning of way closing behind me. I was fired because that job had little or nothing to do with who I am, with my true nature and gifts, with what I care and do not care about. My resort to adolescent rebellion reflected that simple fact. I apologized belatedly for my immaturity, for the grief I gave my supervisor, and for whatever damage I may have done to the data. None of that is to my credit, but I was laughing to keep myself sane. Perhaps the research I was doing was what a good sociologist ought to do, but it felt meaningless to me, and I felt fraudulent doing it. Those feelings were harbingers of things to come, things that eventually led me out of the profession altogether. Obviously, I should have dealt with my feelings more directly and exercised some more self-control. Either I should have quit that job under my own steam or settled in and done the work properly. But sometimes the shoulds do not work because the life one is living runs crosswise to the grain of one's soul. At that time in my life, I had no feeling for the grain of my soul and no sense of which way was crosswise. Not knowing what was driving me, I behaved with blind but blissful unconsciousness. And reality responded by giving me a big and hard to take clue about who I am, way closed behind me. Neither that job nor any job like it was in the cards for me, given the hand I was dealt at birth. That may sound like sinful, fatalistic thinking, or worse, a self-serving excuse. But I believe it embodies a simple, healthy, and life-giving truth about vocation. Each of us arrives here with a nature, which means both limits and potentials. We can learn as much about our nature by running into our limits as by experiencing our potentials. That I think I think is what Ruth and life was trying to teach me. It would be nice if our limits did not reveal themselves in such embarrassing ways as getting fired from a job. But if you are like me and don't readily admit your limits, embarrassment may be the only way to get your attention. I go on full alert only when I am blocked and get derailed or flat out fail. Then I finally I may be forced to face my nature and find out whether I can make something of both my gifts and my limitations. It is important to distinguish between two kinds of limitations, those that come from selfhood and those that are imposed by people or political forces hell-bent on keeping us in our place. I do not ask everyone who gets fired to conclude that it was the work of the gracious God offering clues to one's true vocation. Sometimes it is the work of the pathological boss or corporate culture getting rid of people whose propensity for truth-telling threatens the status quo. Sometimes it's the result of an economic system that robs the poor of their jobs so that the rich can get richer still. Like everything else in the spiritual life, getting guidance from way closing requires thoughtful discernment. Our problem as Americans, at least, among my race and gender, is that if we resist the very idea of limits regarding limits of all sorts as temporary and regrettable impositions on our lives, our national myth is about the endless defense of limits, opening the Western frontier, breaking the speed of sound, dropping people on the moon, discovering cyberspace. At the very moment when we filled the old-fashioned space with so much junk that we could barely move, we refuse to take no for an answer. Part of me treasures the hopefulness of the American legacy, but when I consistently refuse to take no for an answer, I miss the vital clues to my identity that arise when way closes, and I am more likely both to exceed my limits and to do harm to others in the process. A few years ago, I was introduced at a conference as a recovering sociologist. The line got a good laugh, but it also snapped me back to the ignominious failure in the summer before I began graduate school. My soul needed to recover from the misfit between sociology and itself. But before that could happen, my ego needed to deal with its shame. I had to get through graduate school and prove, however briefly, that I could succeed as a professor of sociology, even though that path took me directly into vocational despair. The despair that took me from teaching sociology at Georgetown to the community at Pendle Hill contained a call to vocational integrity. Had I not followed my despair, and had not Ruth not helped me to understand it, I might have continued to pursue a work that was not mine to do, causing further harm to myself, to the people and projects with which I worked, and to a profession that is well worth doing by those who are well called to do it. That's beautiful. That's Let Your Life Speak. It's an amazing book. He's an amazing Quaker theologian in the Quaker tradition. He's written tremendous amount of works. I really am not well read with him, but some read. I have a professor that's very well read in him, and I'm looking forward to working with him again. So thank you for coming on to Holy Wisdom, Holy Word. We just read out of Parker Palmer, a Quaker. We read out of Course of Miracles, The Foundation of Inner Peace, that puts out, it's a book that's very popular. I don't know what year it was. Let's look at what year this is. It's a group of people that got together, but I believe it's writings from, it's out of Mill Valley. Interesting. Foundation of Inner Peace. That's kind of cool. I'll have to get in touch with them. 1976 was first published in 3 volumes. So there you go. And Anamkara by John Donahue. I'm going to read out of Holy Wisdom, Holy Word. And I'm talking tonight about timelessness. And the last 2 readings really made me think about that spiritual soul of our foundation and that we're born with a connection to the timelessness of who we are. And yet the world guides us into this part of ourselves that we don't really quite know. And I can remember my father, I was a really deep artist. I loved drawing, I loved painting. When I was a very, like a kindergarten, I could draw pictures. And, by the time I was second, third grade, my father said, what do you want to do when you grow up? The adult question. And I said, I want to be an artist. I was a poet. I would grab books at the library. And I was just a first grader when I started doing this. It was about a mile away from my home. And I would go to the library and I would pick up poetry books from every source. And my librarian would wait for me, and I'd bring home this big stack. And I was at least a mile and a half away. Maybe it feels like a long way. I have to go back and measure it. It's in Rochester, New Hampshire. But it was like all I wanted to bring home at first grade was these poetry books. And I just wanted to read poetry. That was my childhood. I was just was a poet. I loved poetry. And I was writing poetry by 10 years old. I was writing poems and, really developing that. And, what is my vocation? Really, if I go back to this, I love to write poetry. My heart is in poetry. And music writing, I used to write a lot of songs and I still do write in the moment. And I don't play guitar well anymore. So I kind of make a fool of myself, but I love that part of me. And I don't really care what anybody else thinks about it. It's just kind of this part of me that loves me, that loves that part of me. And this beautiful idea that we can love ourselves and not be judged by others. People don't have to judge you, even if you're on social media. They can judge all they want, but ideally, you don't have to feel that. You don't have to really touch that in that timeless space. If you touch in with God and know that your gifts come from this timelessness of God, that inner sanctuary of love, that inner sanctuary that is so bountiful and so conscious and so loving and so kind. You're loving and kind and conscious and caring, and you care about the world, and I know you do, or you wouldn't even be here. Like Holy Wisdom, Holy Word is about reading others' words and really looking at how does it affect us when we step in, when we really drop into something precious. Those two readings were phenomenal for me. I don't know about you, but they touched about the foundation that we've been given. As soon as we think we're special, beyond somebody else, we're separating from God. We're separating from the union of God. We're separating from that union that has been given. Oh, Celebrity Guru, you're more than welcome to come on and do Holy Wisdom, Holy Word with me. I'll put this in the box. I was worried that people were not on here. So here, I'll put it in the box and people can come on if they want to come in. I've got a couple more readings. Hang on. Thanks, Pravin. I love you, bud. There we go. There's the link. If anybody wants to come in, Pravin, you can come in. So I was going to read Anamkara, John Donahue. It's an amazing book. Feel free to come in, anybody. The StreamYard's there. You're more than welcome to pop in. You basically need to have Chrome in order to get into StreamYard. You just press on the button and it'll ask you to have your speaker and your picture. And I can only take, I think, 5 or 6 people, maybe 6 people onto this platform. I think they've opened it up if you pay, and I actually do have a paid account. So let's read a poem. That would be good. The Scholar and His Cat. That's kind of appropriate today. I and Pugger Ban, my cat, 'tis like task we are at. Hunting mice is his delight. Hunting words, I sit all night. Better far than praise of men. 'Tis to sit with book and pen. Pangur bears me no ill will. He too plies his simple skill. 'Tis a merry thing to see at our tasks how glad we are we, excuse me. 'Tis a merry thing to see at our tasks how glad we are we, when at home we sit and find entertainment to our mind. Oftentimes a mouse will stray in the hero Pangor's way. Oftentimes my keen thought set takes a meaning into its net. 'Gainst the wall he sets his eye, full and fierce and sharp and sly, when a cat goes after something, right? That fierce look. 'Gainst the wall of knowledge I all my little wisdom cry. When a mouse darts from its den, oh, how glad is Pangor then. Oh, what gladness do I prove when I solve the doubts I love. So in peace our tasks we ply, Pangor, my cat and I. In our arts we find our bliss. I have mine and he has his. Practice every day has made Pangor perfect in his trade. I get wisdom day and night, turning darkness into light. That's by Robin Flower out of Anam Cara. What a great poem. That was perfect for what we're reading. See, we open up to this holy wisdom, holy word. I open the book and they all align, and it's like the mystery of life, and it opens and it's here and it's making me happy and it's exciting. Yeah, I gave you the link in the StreamYard. Let's see. Do you have the link? Yeah, I put it there, sweet one. I think you should have it. Do you want me to put it on Facebook? Do you need one on Facebook? You should have it right there. I put it to all these places. The Torch family's here, the Torch leaders. My page should be here, but it doesn't look like it is, maybe. Anam Cara. Cara. Whoops. C-A-R-A. Very good Celtic book. Very, very holy book. Very precious book. Anam Cara. Very good. You didn't see the link. Gosh, that's so funny. Huh. Okay, so let me put it one more time. Maybe I can clip it to my, I know what I can do. Copy, and then I'll put it on a banner. I'll make a new banner for you, Mr. Pravin. And then we'll put it on a banner so people can come in if they choose to talk about holy wisdom, holy word. There you go. The first time I read this was back in my 30s, and then it came through a lot of my professors in theology. It's a Keltum wisdom book. It's a synthesis of philosophy, poetry, and spirituality. And my love of the Celtic wisdom comes from, actually, I really pulled this out the other day because we were talking about ley lines on the earth. And this book came to me many years ago at Findhorn. Kathy Jones was a theologian writing about the ancient goddess. I'm just going to grab my puppy dog because she's back in. Hang on. I'll be right with you. Puppy dog, puppy dog. Okay, love. There we are. Lily's back in. Look at this lovely pillow. I just washed my pillowcase, but this is what's on my bed a lot of times, and now I have it on my couch. I love this. I don't know when I bought it. I think when I had the concussion, and I got hit by a car 5 years ago, and then I got hit by another car. They just ran into the back of my car, and I got jolted. So I was talking about this book, I'm going to get a little drink. And I want you to just take a moment, take a breath. Ooh, ouch, ouch, ouch. I'll tell you why I'm ouching. Because I'm bringing my candle and it's almost out and it's dripping. But it's on a paper now, so I can hold it to you. Holy wisdom, holy word. So let me see if I can put that down, the banner down, and put the holy wisdom, holy word. That's what our talk is about. Hang on. Dun, dun. And I'm going to scroll it across the bottom so people can come in if they want. You see it, Pravin, now? So this show I've done for quite a while. It's called Holy Wisdom, Holy Word. There you go. Come on in. Come on in. Feel free to come in. As we light the spark, Pravin is torch member, amazing soul. You know, the wisdom keepers of our time show us a lot. And as I really open up to all of the people in my life, I feel like every single one is just an angel coming into my heart. And it's a timelessness that I feel with the love of my brothers and sisters today. I have a very rich life with a lot of beautiful people. And I have those years where the judgments were so high through my divorce and all those people, all the judgments, you know. And what happens when we fall back to our place where people judge? There we are. We've got the celebrity guru here and here and here. Hang on. I'm getting wax off my finger. There you are.
Mama, you, the God Queen, Mama Lynn.
Holy wisdom, holy word. Here we are.
I love the title, Holy Word. I love the logo. Wow, wow, wow. Amazing.
I've been doing this one for quite a while.
Really? It's the first time. Wow.
Really? No, I've been doing this for a long time, but it's the first time anybody's come on with me. So this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Pravin put this in the box if anybody's interested. Hang on, let me put it down. I'll scroll it down the bottom. But I think when you start looking at Holy Wisdom, Holy Word, what comes up, Pravin?
When it comes, when I look at the Holy Wisdom, Holy Word, the holy books pops up to me, like, you know, the Holy Quran, the Holy Bible, and the Holy Gita. These three holiest books.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And tell us about the Gita a little bit more. I read the Gita when I was at Kripalu Yoga Center quite a bit. I don't know. I lived there after my divorce. And so I lived at the ashram. And I had trained the kitchen in natural cuisine. And I actually taught there about the goddess, and I taught about all these different, you know, sexuality. I taught about kind of that ancient idea of sexuality and where sexuality lies within the spiritual pathway of yogic traditions. So I had a lot of fun. That was in my late 30s.
Wow.
At Kripalu. Yeah. Yeah. I had studied.
You've been to Nepal during your late 30s, and you've been taught about the Holy Gita, the Hinduism, and ancient Hinduism, and like, wow, amazing.
Yeah. It's a very important book. I was just talking, I was reading out of this, you know, the Course in Miracles. You must know this book, right?
First time I've seen that, A Course in Miracles. Wow.
This is written in Foundation for Inner Peace. It's a profound book.
Wow.
It's really, really powerful. Many people read this as the Holy Bible. Like they really love the wisdom in this room. It was a channeled book. I think it was a channeled book. And then I read out of Palmer Parker. Do you know his name? He's a theologian.
Oh, wow.
And he was a Quaker. And the Quaker tradition is a powerful tradition here in America. The Quakers brought forth tremendous amount of the Constitution, the Liberty Bell, like a lot of powerful thinkers spiritually in this country, came out of the Quaker tradition. And then we just read that poem about the cat. Did you heard the cat poem?
Beautiful, beautiful, wow.
So tell me what you think about the Gita. Tell me what you think I should learn about the Gita. Maybe I need to get a copy of the Gita again.
Sure. Again, great question, Lynn, and thank you so much for again, from bottom of my heart for having me on your beautiful show. Appreciate that, Lynn. And you are the celebrity master asker, like the way you ask, the way you share your, feelings about spirituality or about thoughts or about thoughts is really amazing, Lynn. Really. Now, to answer your question, the Gita means Gayah Trayate iti Gita, means it's in Sanskrit, meaning the person who sing it is gonna get the enlightenment. That's the meaning of Gita. The Gita is the part of the epic of the Mahabharata. The Mahabharata is the story of two cousin family. One brother has 5 sons and another brother has 100 sons. So it's a story of prince and prince. The prince of one family has 5 princes and another family has 101. It's a story of them. Then between the story, they have the fight happens between them because those 5 are the follower of the truth and non-violence and like that, and the 100s one are not all of them, but the main head of the 100s one is the follower of non-truth, dharma, cheating and kind of thing. So even though Messenger Krishna did his best to stop the fight, but see, whatever happens, it happens, because the truth has to prevail no matter what, right? So both the parties come at the battleground called Hastinapur, means Kurukshetra. It's close to the Delhi, today's Delhi. There is a place called Kurukshetra. So at that place, that was the battleground between two families. And there are the supporters of both those 5 brothers, as well as there are the supporters of those 100 brothers. So finally, both the parties, they did that warning of now fight is going to happen no matter what. So they did I don't know, they started the Sankha. I don't know what's the English word for that Sankha. But that means that's it. Fight is about to start. And after that, Lord Krishna, Messenger Krishna said to the Pandavas that yes, I'm not going to take part in the battle. And they give the choice to both the parties. Either you can choose me, but I'm not going to take the part in the battle. You choose me without any bows and arrows, or you can choose my what can I say? My army. So those 100 the people who representing 100 people, 100 brothers, he chose the army. Even though he was given the first preference, but he chose army. He's like big army man. I'm going to choose army. And the 5 brothers, the brother chose of course, we need Lord, we need messenger, because wherever you are, victory is there, no matter what. So now, out of the 5 brothers, messenger said, I will become the Cherokee of the Arjuna. One of the 5 brothers' name is Arjuna. So Arjuna then finally tells the God, a messenger, Lord Krishna, please do bring this Cherokee in the middle so I can see both the parties equally, both the people who are taking part in the battle equally. So Lord Krishna asked him, it's about to, the battle is about to start, and how come now you are asking this question? So Arjuna says, now there is no doubt that, the fight is going to on or off, fight is going to go happen. So there is no doubt. So that's why I said after whatever the music has started or whatever the Sankha has started, then Messenger Krishna brings the Cherokee between those 2 parties. Now he looked at both the parties equally. So when he looked at the opposite party with his 100 cousins, he also see his teacher who taught him how to do archery. You know, not only that, that teacher promised him like he's going to make him Arjuna the biggest archer in the world, and he made him like that. So
Hmm.
so now he feel like, oh my God, how come I'm going to kill my teacher who taught me, you know, this much archery, you know, and this same archery? How can I kill my teacher? He has no doubt that my teacher is going to kill me. That was he was sure. Now he see his great grandfather, you know, front of him, fighting against him. So again he goes, oh my God, like, you know, whom I am fighting against. You know, like how can I kill my great grandfather in lap? You know, in lap. You know, in his. I used to like, you know, play, you know, like with my dirty clothes and this and that and whatnot. Now, how can I kill my great grandfather? He's like about over 100. So again, he has no doubt like my great grandfather will kill me. No, not at all. So when he sees like this, from his hands, those bows and arrows fell down.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, that's depression. Looks like depression, right? But in depression, generally, this depression and his depression, there is a difference. Because in his depression, in Arjuna's depression, it's not like that somebody is going to kill me. I'm going to go in the valley. But his depression was like, how can I kill my buddies? How can I kill my 100? How can I kill my 100 cousins? You know, how can I kill the people who are innocent? You know, who are the strangers, but they have to take the part either our side or that side. How can I kill those innocent people? You know, they didn't do any bad with me or with my family or whatever, right? You know, so how can I kill them? So his concern was that. So then so there are 18 chapters of the Holy Gita. First is like Vishad Yoga. Because of his sadness, becomes the yoga. Like common man's sadness doesn't become the yoga because, you know, he's like, oh my God, like, you know, why God you gave trouble to me? Why God, you know, you know, somebody has a Mercedes car or that car. Why God I'm using like local bus or whatever, you know, like because our sadness are like selfish sadness. That's why our depression doesn't become the depression yoga, right? So that's the difference. So in the first chapter, Arjuna talks about like this. Oh my God, like how can I kill them? You know, how can I kill them? You know, like yeah, I don't feel like, you know, like yeah, from my hand, you know, bows and arrows are falling down. You know, what should I do? So first chapter is like that. And then he asks like Lord Krishna, like, why are you not giving me the solution, right? So then Lord Krishna says, like, right now I'm listening to you. Right now I'm listening to you. This is a beautiful message for the coaches, you know, out there. Like there are lots of coaches and like that. So first listen to your coachee, listen to your mentee, you know, because most of them even they don't need your advice. Just they want to get to be listened to, especially husband wife. Husbands are ready to give the advice, you know, like they are like, oh man, dear honey, this and that, whatnot, you know, use this, do that, do that. Are bhai, like your wife or your life partner just want to be heard, you know, because that's their nature, you know, that's their nature. But yeah, anyways, so one of my first books publisher, Raymond Aaron, he has a principle like don't coach your spouse, you know, never coach your spouse, you know. And
I have to be honest, I'm on with this couple doing the 5-day challenge, you know, the money challenge and the spirit of money. And this couple is very loving. They've been through it. They know what it's been through, but they really honor that beautiful soul. And when I hear this story about Gita and Lord Krishna and this idea that these thoughts come up in our brain, you know, that holy wisdom, holy word, right, came through him to block, you know, let God just like disperse that energy. And I was talking most of the night here since I started on timelessness, you know, like timelessness, right? He was in the moment of timelessness, right? Yeah. So he was able to open to that moment of God and really listen to the holy wisdom, holy word. And yeah, so I think when we witness each other, and we witness mostly when we practice, the more practice I do, spiritual practice, the more practice I capture that quicker, right? I can capture that timelessness quicker. I can capture God's with me a lot more. We were talking a lot today about emptying out and, really developing this relationship now. It's just such a powerful time for all of us, and it's such a precious time. It's a precious time to get in touch with that holy wisdom, holy word within ourselves. It's a precious time. It's a slow down time. And as much as I was starting to ramp up, I slowed back down, and I got this big fancy job, Pravin, and it just wasn't right. There wasn't enough money to move to where it was. It didn't fit. And yeah, it's nice to get a big, 6-figure job, but it didn't fit. And that's what Parker Parma was just saying about our vocation. He was talking about we're born with a grace of how we are. And if we don't find that within our own architecture of our own soul, it's very challenging because we're not listening. And he talked about being fired from a job, and he said it was the moment, of knowing that it wasn't the right profession, and he had gone through all the education and done the masters of sociology. He was a sociology professor, and he got fired, and he said, I'll never forget that. Like, it wasn't ever my profession. And I had to really wrestle with that within the soul, within that heart place. And I'm sure Krishna was wrestling in that heart place. He was wrestling. We have to wrestle with ourselves to be in that timelessness. You froze on me. My beautiful friend. Let's see if he can. I'll take him down and see if there he is. He's back up. Good. There you are. So I was saying that I feel like we wrestle with ourselves, just like Krishna was wrestling with himself. Like Parker Palmer wrestled with himself, but he knew that it wasn't his profession. And I just put in my application for my doctorate. I just did that today.
What did you do?
I put in my application for my doctorate. To do my doctorate.
Awesome! Congratulations!
I had my interview this week with the professor, and he said you're more than welcome to put it in. So I did. We'll see what happens. I won't know for a couple of weeks.
Dr. Lynn, right? Dr. Lynn. Soon you're going to be Dr. Lynn. Awesome.
It'll be my little Lynn, but my big Lynn hopefully will stay connected. That God Lynn, like our little beings that wrestle all the time and try to separate from God, like separate from this beautiful gift that we've been given,
True. Absolutely.
We've been given these gifts, and they're spiritual gifts, and they're deep witnesses of that wrestle within our own soul. I'm writing a book, Pravin. I wrote a book called Remembrance to Remember. And you didn't know that, but I need to get it published. And I'm writing a book, more of an academic book called Architecture of Your Soul. It'll be more of a theological study. And this is the book that I'll probably publish through this doctorate. I'll work on it. I've already worked on it, but I'm very excited about it because I think we separate from our own goodness because we're all good. We're all good. We're all love. We're all beautiful. Every person. But it's that judgment that Lord Krishna, if those things didn't fall, he would probably judge all that was happening in that moment, right? But he was so open in the timelessness, he was able to see the timelessness and able to see the holy, right? Holy wisdom, holy word, right? Holy wisdom and the witness of that, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
I know you're a writer. I know you're good with words. You're thinking about words. Let's read a little section out of Ralph Waldo Emerson. How's that sound?
Beautiful.
Do you know him?
Yeah, I heard about Mr. Emerson. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So let's read out of Emerson a little bit.
Hmm.
I opened up to the American Scholar.
Actually, Emerson also wrote about highly regard about the Holy Gita too. Actually, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
really? Oh,
Oh,
good.
really? Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. Well, let's look at this. It says the American Scholar, an oration delivered before the Phi Beta Kappa Society at Cambridge, August 31st, 1837. So we're going back. Mr.
Almost 200
President,
years.
yeah, Mr. President and gentlemen, I greet you on the recommencement of our literary year. Our anniversary is one of hope, perhaps not enough of labor. We do not meet for games of strength or skill, for the recitation of histories, tragedies, and odes, like the ancient Greeks, for parliaments of love and poesy, like the troubadours, nor for the achievement of science, like our contemporaries in the British and European capitals. Thus far, our holiday has been simply a friendly sign of the survival of the love letters amongst a people too busy to give to letters anymore. As such, it is precious at the sign of the indestructible instinct. Perhaps the time is already come when it ought to be and will be something else, when the sluggard intellect of this continent will look from under its own lids and fill the postponed expectation of the world with something better than the exertions of the mechanical skill. One day of dependence, our long apprenticeship to the learning of other deeds, other lands, draw to a close. The millions that are around us are rushing into life, cannot always be fed on the sere remains of foreign harvests. Events, actions arise that must be sung, that will sing themselves. Who can doubt that poetry will revive and lead in a new age as the star in the constellation Harp, which now flames in our zenith, astronomers announce, shall one day be the polar star for 1,000 years. In this hope, I accept the topic, which not only usage but the nature of our association seem to prescribe to this day, the American Scholar. Year by year, here he is. Here you are. Year by year, we come up hither to read one more chapter of his biography. Let us inquire what light new days and events that thrown on his character and his hopes. It is one of those fables which out of the unknown antiquity convey as unlocked for wisdom, that the gods in the beginning divided man into men, that he might be before helpful to himself, just as the hand was divided into fingers, the better to answer its end. The old fable covers a doctrine ever new and sublime, and there is one man, present to all particular men, only partially as though one faculty, and that you must take the whole society to find the whole man. Man is not a farmer or a professor or an engineer, but he is all. Man is priest and scholar and statesman and producer and soldier. In the divided or social state, these functions are parceled out to individuals, each of whom aims to do his stint of a joint work, whilst each others perform his. The fable implies that the individual, to possess himself, must sometimes return from his own labor to embrace all the other laborers.
Wow. You're being so profound.
That's really good. That's really
Um,
good. Did you, he's talking about like we're put in this position, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
we're so much more than just this position. Again, it opens up this like door of like what we are for each other, how we are for each other, how we open, you
It's
know?
like feeling sometimes identity, makes us small. Like, see, 1947, 15th of August, before that, like people were Indian. And then on that day, somebody from another country draw the imaginary lane, and because
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that,
yeah.
like millions of people die at same night, right? Millions of people died. Somebody say like I'm Indian, somebody say I'm Pakistan, and then like a massacre, huge massacre. And still like 73 years, still it's happening just because identity. Same
Just
thing, let's
because of
say,
identity. Yeah.
what's that? Same thing, let's say in Muslim, there are fighting like, Shia Muslim, Sunni Muslim, fighting, still fighting, till like, centuries and centuries. Same thing in Hinduism also, there are lots of subdivisions, like Buddhism, Jainism, this, that, whatnot, like in Buddhism also, like, Swetambar and Digambar. One is follow like the Buddha with the cloth. Another set follow the Buddha without the cloth, right? Like the what is
Yeah.
even in like in Christianity too, like there is like let's say universal church. So they say like yes, we respect Jesus, but like we like we don't care about Mother Mary. You know what I mean? So there is no in universal church there is no Mother Mary picture. You know,
Yeah.
even you don't see like Jesus on the cross. You see the cross only, right? So like yeah, but like come on, like, we are one, timelessness. Those messengers came to awaken the humanity within, to awaken the spirituality within. Like, why, like, on the name of, like, like race and religion and this and that, like they're killing each other and we are doing this and whatnot, like, And I tell you, on the name of spirituality, there are more killing rather than hunger.
Yeah, but I was reading about that earlier too, though. I was reading
Yeah.
about there's a really great paper that came through my mail. It was the first thing this morning, actually.
No,
And
beautiful.
it spoke about religion is beyond, like, religion was just a word, but it went way beyond, way before the word, because everybody had a connection
Exactly.
to this timelessness. And that's
Exactly.
all that religion is. It's a timelessness that people always recognized. And that curiosity between us is so beautiful. It's so
Yeah.
it's so beautiful.
Like, sorry, you must have heard about Osho, like, Osho,
Oh
Bhagwan
yeah,
Osho, right?
yeah. A good friend of mine loved Osho. He was a follower of Osho. I didn't study Osho, but I've read some of his reading. I just read what you put up last week. I don't remember what you actually said, but you should tell us a little more about Osho.
I put lots of things about like lots of, like Osho also. I put lots of things. Which one you're talking about? I had to find out from you which one.
I don't know. You posted something from Osho.
Wait. Okay. When Osho dies, on his Osho, like in Pune, India, there is a resort, Osho resort. I don't know the name, but over there, where he died, there is a return of the Osho. Like, Osho never born, never die, just came on this planet Earth from, this date of birth to the when he left. Beautiful, beautiful. Like talking about timelessness, like yeah, there is no time. We made like, like okay, this is whatever year is 2020, this is like July, this is whatever 30th, like we to find out like easier. That's why like we say like the sun rises in the east, so the sun never rises, the sun never sets. But like for our understanding, we say like that. That's why we say like we are in the western part of the world, Canada, USA, like let's say India and Singapore, and Pakistan, they are the eastern part of the world. For our sake of understanding, we say this kind of distance. Otherwise, in the timelessness, there is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think we do that to each other all the time. I think we put each other in these boxes of life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. People say like there is no limit or there is no sky. I mean, sky is the limit. I say there is no limit. Forget about the sky. Like yeah, you can fly as much you wanna fly. Why are you putting the
It's
limits to
a
yourself?
little
Why are
hard.
you putting yourself into the boxes? Like, you're the human being, like, yeah,
Mhm.
you are the spiritual being having the celebrity experiences. Why are you putting yourself in the boxes? Or like, I'm whatever, the white, black, yellow, or I'm like, male, female, or in between, or I'm like, let's say Canadian, or American, or Indian, or Pakistani, or Bangladeshi, or whatnot. Why to put in the boxes? Because when you put in the boxes, you're limited. Like, you are
Mhm.
limitless, and limiting yourselves by putting all those labels or boxes. Like, when I say I'm doctor, that means I'm not the engineer. When I say I'm the, let's say, author of 6 books, that means I didn't write the 600 books. When I say I'm like, let's say, marathon, that means like I'm not the astronaut. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
when we label ourselves, we are actually, limiting ourselves. All those
Mhm.
labels are not going to come with us, in eternal life.
Interesting.
It
What do you
is.
think about Mama Lynn? Mama Lynn doesn't, it's kind of open. I'm happy about that.
I know. I know. So branding and everything, okay, like for let's say in this world, but like for eternal world, not a label or not the like all the awards and reward, nothing gonna come. The come with the only thing is coming with you. It's like, what did you do for the humanity? Beside your selfishness, before beside like going to the work, doing the brushing your teeth or whatever, whatnot. What did you do for the humanity? Like, that's what I'm gonna come with. Like, like, yeah, because
When
it
I
will
think
be
about,
honest.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I think about the torch and the passing of the Olympic, the Olympic Games are one of the most
Yeah,
precious, beautiful events, right? Yes, it's about competition, but it's about everybody celebrating the torch, that light. And
exactly.
I just am so excited about the name of our organization because I think, I know there's not a lot of form still, and I tried it and it didn't work. And I was like, okay, I got it. I'm not going to force anything.
Absolutely.
I'm not forcing anything. I really don't. If we have the name the torch for the rest of our lives and there's no form, it's okay for me. So I really believe in this love. I believe in the love of humanity, and so much that we have the ability to light each other up and help each other up. And light and dark are connected, and the flame, it's like the fly flying to the flame and just dying,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
it,
love, like, yeah. Love is sacrifice, like, yeah. If you love God, God asks for sacrifice, like, yeah.
it's a powerful image. And I'm just eternally grateful that it came through a dream. So it wasn't me, it was my God, it was God speaking through me. And it didn't, I had this beautiful soft name, Humanitera. I just saw it today and I was like, oh, that was such a nice name. And then there were all these fires in California and I got the name The Torch, and I'm like, this doesn't feel good, and I was feeling so broken in my heart when all the fires were happening and having a business named The Torch, and because so many people lost their homes. But it didn't, it's such a powerful image. And I think, when we think about those simple actions that you take every day and I take every day, and everybody around us is taking every day, these are the gifts, the simple gifts. And I just totally adore what's happening online. I get up and there's just magic. There's a mystery every day on Facebook.
That's
It,
true.
it's so beautiful. I don't know who's going to show up. Takwa showed up again with her karate, and it was like, boom, boom,
Wow,
boom,
I know, yeah, that
boom,
was amazing.
boom. And I'm like,
Oh,
okay, I'm going to do it with you, Takwa. I'm going to go find a dojo, and I'm going to get karate going for holy wisdom, holy word. I need my body connected to my being. My body got, by sitting so much, I really lost a little bit of my physical form, because back east I had a farm when I lived in the East Coast, And so for me, the farm, I was always, I grew all my own food. I had horses, I had sheep. I just was always working physically. So my body was in shape. And now my body's like, oh my gosh, now what? You know? And
In,
so, like I've got to move it.
in
And
our lane, this is a huge opportunity because of COVID-19. All these races, let's say Tokyo Marathon, London Marathon, Berlin Marathon, Toronto Scotia Waterfront Marathon, and lots of other marathons, they are happening virtually. So wherever you are in the world, you can run those marathons on even let's say let's say in your backyard or wherever you run, or maybe in the fitness room, there is a staircase or whatever, you can run and you can do that one. So I'm running those 4 marathons actually in like within two months. I'm running those, yeah.
beautiful, beautiful.
And
So
price is
I got
also
on
very
my
low.
I got on my trampoline, for my birthday. Instead of
Yeah,
buying anything, I bought my trampoline.
yeah,
So
I saw that one, but you didn't jump. You didn't jump on your birthday.
I've been
You
jumping.
did?
Yeah, now I just started yesterday, day before yesterday,
Yeah,
finally. And I
beautiful.
took out everything from my house because I had all these boxes from schoolwork and, moving, and I hadn't done much. And so everything kind of looks nice in the house now. It's like starting to feel like home again. It's like,
Nice.
it's just kind of feeling home. My home is feeling more connected. But
Awesome.
I was beating myself up not getting to these papers. I was way down. I was like, what is this? And I worked, I sweat. My body was just sweating and it felt so good. And then the next day I was able to get on the trampoline, and it was just like I was a little, I was just stuck in the physical form. You do so much writing when you're in academia, and you read and you write and and then, as you know, I got sick. So it's time to I'm excited about moving my energy now. It's really been great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Mama Lini, you gotta see this guy, Wahid Hussein, the one who's commenting hi, and you are the great.
Nice. Who is he? Hi, Wahid.
Yeah,
Hi,
Wahid is from
Fazla.
Pakistan. Then he moved to Dubai, and then like he just keeps sending, oh my God, like he's like number one, our Prime Minister lover, Mr. Justin Trudeau's lover. He's the number one. I never seen that much lover of Mr. Trudeau. So then he
Oh,
just said, oh my God, I tell you, man. Then what happened, Lynn? He said, man, he gave me his phone number. Like Dr. PPP, the celebrity guru, call Trudeau's office, and here is the number. I'm like, man, and then I ignored for a couple of weeks. I ignored, right? But he was so persistent, man. So to jip him up, to shut him up, I called that number. and and next day, Mr. Trudeau's assistant called me and then gave Mr. Trudeau's personal email. So also I shared the email to him, like, okay, write whatever you write, Mr. Trudeau. So and then last year, I saw our Prime Minister first time. Okay, I saw like previous one, like Mr. Stephen Harper from Canada's Prime Minister. I've seen, right? When I went, when I meet Mr. Modi, Prime Minister of India, when he came to Canada, and we actually our group was one of the sponsor of Mr. Modi. And then, yeah, so last summer, I attend the, we won in basketball. We became the champion. So Mr. Trudeau came in Toronto, and all the champions, basketballers, who gave us like championship, they were there. So we had a ceremony. I was there, and within a week there was a gift for it. I never attended gift for it, even though in Toronto every year it happens in month of June. I never attended, but last year I attended, and Mr. Trudeau also came. So within a week, I had a chance to meet Mr. Trudeau 2 times, just because of this guy. Like, yeah, why do you was behind me? Like, sir, he's right now here. He's in Toronto. He's in blah blah blah. Oh my God, amazing, right?
so cute. So
Oh
cute.
yeah. Also, he sent.
Wahid, if you want, please feel free to come in.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Also, he make lots of like videos of himself, myself, and Mr. Trudeau, and surprise me, with the song, in the background, like Indian or Bollywood song. Sometimes it goes, and oh my God, he's like amazing. He works so hard in Dubai, and still, like, yeah, man. So.
Oh, I have to meet him.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's cool. It's cool.
Nice. Well, I think we'll read one more little thing.
Awesome. Let's go.
Out of a journal of Mama Lynn. I don't know what's in here, but I'm trying to find. I'll tell you what happened yesterday. My
Yeah.
good friend Amani, she had her house burned down, and I met her through Good of the Whole, and she's redoing this property. And many years ago, Mama Lynn went to Findhorn, and Findhorn is in Scotland. It's a spiritual, eco village from a woman, Eileen Caddy, that channeled God. And the angel cards were built in Findhorn as well. It's somewhere where you should go. Really, really special. And
Mhm.
so all of a sudden, Amani started talking last week. And she started talking about Painted Arrow. And I was like, who's Painted Arrow? Oh my gosh. I wrote writings of this Painted Arrow back when I was in Scotland 20 years ago, 25, and it just came to me. I was like, I was meditating. And then all of a sudden, he was the one that made the sound chamber on her land. It was just like so wild. So yesterday, I tried to find my old journals. This was one of them.
Wow.
There's usually something that God talks to me, And let's see what happens.
Wow, sure. It's a good habit to write the journal, Yeah, absolutely.
Oh gosh. Here we go. You ready? I have no idea what's here. This is a long time ago. I don't know what the date was. Let's see if there's any dates in this book. Maybe 2014. No. It would have been back east. July 20. Oh gosh, it was way back with Reverend Tanaka. That would have been in 95.
Whoa.
Wow. Okay, so thy tree has protected, nurtured, and guided. Okay, yes, how little I feel as I'm united in the bosom. Nature holds pure state, conscience, and direction. Sweet smell of truth. Death of beginning union in the all. Ancient one, I am in all. My cells to purify, to recall the union sanctioned with universal thought. Nothing more, nothing less. Reach for what? Hold on to nothing. Release this fantasy. I will be the rose full of thorns, climbing over the mountain edge, recreating desires, a lust towards all boundless life flowing through me, touching life's form, to flow through me and to all. I encounter, judge not any, and all may we live in peace and harmony. Oh, lovely tree, how sweet you stand, straight and tall. I fall to my knees, bow to you, return towards nothing. Walking silently, blessed be. Thank you. I am grateful.
Wow, so deep, so deep. Wow.
Mama Lynn. It's not my little self. It's my moment of God all the time. I'm so lucky.
Amazing.
Yeah, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
I didn't read that. I've never read that
Really?
to anyone. But
Oh.
my friend, one friend read some of my journals. She said, "This isn't you," and I said, "Exactly." I just write.
Bring it out then, form
Yeah.
a book, form a shape of book, amazing. Because this wisdom must be read by the world, Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really nice. It's important to write now and get some things published. But I think as we close this holy wisdom, holy word, let's read one more moment out of this book. And this is a really special, a visit to the land of gods, searching the modern philosopher's stone, tracing Jesus's lost years in the East, exploring the common roots of the Jews and Japanese.
Wow.
Whew. This is Alex Jack. He was on my show
Oh.
just a couple weeks ago. He's
Wow.
he's a prolific writer.
Oh yeah.
A prolific writer. All right, let's read on Issei. Now, I got to go to Issei. You don't know where Issei is. Issei is on the, I think it's on the east side of Japan. I shouldn't quote this. I don't know. But Issei is where Amaterasu was the sun goddess in Japan. This is the story of Japan.
Okay.
And there's a really beautiful, they have a holy book too called Hojiki.
Mm-hmm.
And I have it. So we'll have to read out of that sometime, but it's a really special book. But the sun goddess was Amaterasu. And there's a song, Amaterasu, Oikami. And it goes like this, right? Beautiful song. So Michio had us put this sign and hold it up to the sun and sing the song to heal. And so this writing that he's going to write about is Issei. But Issei, every Japanese person wants to go there before they die. It's the Japanese, like, you have to go there once in your life at least, because it's the most sacred place in Japan. Okay. So when I arrive on the island, the ceremony for Issei, okay, is Amaterasu lives in a room. And for 2,500 years, they feed her brown rice every day. The monks go there and feed her spirit. And every 2,500 years, she gets moved from one spot to the next spot. And I got to be there. No, I'm sorry, it's every 25 years. Sorry. She was in this spot. I'm trying to think of the year. I won't know that date, but 25 years. Every 25 years, she gets moved. And I arrived when she was getting moved. Her spirit was getting moved. But it takes 8 years to move her spirit. They go way, way down into the old ancient places to connect the spiritual laws, to build her a brand new building. And they do ceremony for 8 years to build a brand new building for her. It takes 8 years. And her spirit is moved by a flute. And I get there, and guess what I get to do? I get to be with the flute player that moved her spirit like 7 days before I got there. So the energy was like so high, and it was so spiritually awake. And everybody was at Issei because her spirit, right? 25 years, 8 years of ceremony, everybody was there. So this time was very, very precious to me. And one of the Shinto youth, there was a Shinto priest. He was studying. He actually committed suicide. You know, talk about this. He was a Shinto priest. He wanted to be a Shinto priest, but he took me up to her old place where she used to live. So way up in the mountains she used to live. And then Issei, they moved her down to Issei so it would be easier for people to be part of her. So it was a very powerful story, you know, Amaterasu, the sun goddess. And, you know, they light a fire every single day. They do prayers over her every single day. I mean, for 2,500 years, right? So this is the story of Issei, that Alex went and visited Issei when he was there. He said, from the eternal world, the abode of Buddha, Moses, Jesus, and Osawa, heaven's grace falls in ever widening spirals. In the morning, our bus leaves Nachi for the first part of our journey to Tokyo. Along the way, we sing Macrobiotica, Ed Esco's inspiring rendition. The chorus of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, as the lofty mountains and dense forests of Wakayama give way to the broad Kanto plain and patchwork quilt of mud-gray rice paddies and bright green bushes planted in tight rows. Macrobiotica, the way of life and happiness, yin-yang in harmony, with life and nature guiding us, self-reflection and transformation, living with an endless dream, 1 grain, 10,000 grains, with gratitude eternally. So that's the song. Ed was on that the couple weeks ago. In Ise, we visit the national shrine of Japan, dedicated to Amaterasu, the heavenly shining goddess. I have been here on several previous occasions, but each time awed by the tall cedars and spacious grounds. At the main shrine, we come upon the Shinto priest in turquoise robes. He looks familiar, and it turns out that he was visiting the Kushi Institute in Beckett. In the souvenir shop, Shizuko Yamamoto and I admire beautiful, intricately made personal shrines and altars. I buy a small wooden tray to take home to Gail, my wife, and the tiny cups to hold offering of rice, salt, and water. Earlier by the Nachi waterfall for Masha, my daughter. In Nagoya, we switched to, I think that's all about Ise, but this is the power of Ise. Ise is like, I can't even describe it. It's that timelessness. It's a good place to end. It's a timelessness. You enter into timelessness at Ise. You enter into the timelessness of the God world, you know. And that's what this was for me. And they actually showed me the movies. I went back to this man's apartment that played the flute for her. And I got to see when she was moved, and he showed me the movie of her spirit being moved. I mean, the whole room just lit up. It was just powerful. And he lived in this humble little place, you know, just so beautiful. It was like so good. And, you know, I just felt so blessed and so kind-hearted to be there and be in the midst of those type people that have loved me for so long, you know? Yeah, it's a beautiful gift. Holy wisdom, holy word. Robin and Mama Lynn tonight. It's a great day to go to your wisdom keeping books and find something to read today and touch in with yourself in that timelessness. And last word, Pravin, what's your last word for the evening?
Wow, I am moved. I'm glad, to have you as the torch queen. Amen. Amen. Namaste. Sat Sri Akal. Let's deep dive in timelessness. Why should we bound, within time? Because you are the timelessness. Believe in your wildest dreams. Don't let anybody steal your dreams. Just do it now. If Trump can win, so can you. You are the celebrity day. You are the celebrity life. You are the celebrity. Overcome the celebrity within. Namaste. Shukriya. Thank you, Mama Lynn.
I love you, brother. And we leave you with this. We'll bring the candle over to close the show because we light the holy wisdom and holy word from all places, all time. We bring the end of this evening to know that light is ever eternal from all people, all time. And may that timelessness shine deep in your heart tonight. And know you are loved, you are kind, you are worthy, you're of wonder, you're of love, and you're deeply, deeply the magic that you are. Every day, just remember who you are and be that beautiful spirit that you are. And know that just you are loved. So peace and best from Pravin and I as we light the spark light. Adonai.